Hi, this is Noel with Creation Effects. In this video I want to talk about motion tracking in Creation Lens Flares. And Creation Lens Flares, for those of you not familiar, is an After Effects project that lets you create high-quality custom lens flare effects. After Effects has motion tracking controls which allow you to track the motion of a specific point, like a light, on your footage. And once you do that, it's easy to attach your control layer's position to that point so that your lens flare automatically moves with your footage. You can also use the control layer's offset control to have extra control over your lens flare's position. Here's how it's done. So I have one of my lens flare presets open, and underneath all my lens flare elements, I have this footage of me walking in a lava tube with a flashlight, and I want to attach this lens flare to my flashlight. So with my footage layer selected, I'll go to my window menu and choose Tracker Controls. I'll click Track Motion, and this new window opens up with my footage in it. I'll be sure to go to the beginning of where I want to start tracking on my timeline, and then I want to adjust this tracking box to go over the point that I want to track. I'll scale the inner box to include an area of high contrast that After Effects will be able to follow, and adjust the outer box to include the area that I want After Effects to search in each frame for that point of contrast. And if your footage moves around a lot, this box will need to be bigger. And when that's done, I'll just hit this play button and let it track the motion. When I've tracked enough, I can stop it, and then all that's left to do is hit apply and apply dimensions X and Y, and it will send that tracking data to my control layer. So you can see now all these keyframes on the position of the control layer. Normally you would have had to hit this Edit Target button first to tell it which layer to send the tracking data to, but since our control layer is on top, that's the default target layer, so you can just ignore this Edit Target button and just click Apply. And you can see after a quick render, the lens flare automatically follows the flashlight. Now you'll probably run into situations where the point that you want to track doesn't have enough contrast in it for After Effects to track it. Say for example you wanted to put a light up here in the sky in this clip. There's no area of contrast up here that After Effects can track, but there is down here in the tree line. So what we're going to do is motion track an area of the trees, and then we'll use this offset control found on the control layer to move the light up into the sky. So we'll go through the same process. We'll select our footage layer, and we'll go to our window menu and select Tracker Controls, and I'll click Track Motion, and then I'll put my box over a high contrast area of the trees, and I'll hit Analyze or Play and let it run for a while. And you can see we're going to have a problem because our point is about to run off the screen. So what I'll do then is stop it just before it goes off the screen, and then move it to another point and resume playing. So that's enough. I'll hit the stop button and I'll click Apply and OK. And now, as expected, the control layer follows the tree. And if I select the control layer and try to use this motion tracking offset control, it doesn't really do anything. We need an expression in the position parameter of this control layer in order for this offset control to work. And I'd love to have it in there by default, but the tracker control can't apply position data to a target that has an expression in its position parameter. So if you have an expression in here and you click Apply in the tracker controls, you'd actually get an error message. The good news is the expression is super simple. I'll hold down the Alt key and hit the stopwatch icon to open the expression box. And I'll type value plus, and that's all you'll need to type. But before you leave the expression box, you need to add a link to this offset point control. And we do that by using the pick whip tool, which is this little swirly icon here. And I'll just drag it to the motion tracking offset control here, where it says point. And what that does is it makes a reference to that offset control here in the expression. Now that's pretty easy, but if you would still rather cut and paste, you can find the expression in the comments of the control layer. Okay, now let's offset this. Using this point cursor isn't going to work right, so instead we'll click and drag these coordinates, and we'll move this over and up, And that's about where I want it. We'll play that a bit and then wait for our control layer to jump because of when we moved the tracking box. So I'll hit the spacebar to play. And there's the jump. And that's no good. So in the timeline, I'll go to the last frame before it jumps. I'll hit the page up button to go back frame by frame. And when I get to the frame before the jump, I'll find the motion tracking offset control on my layer down here. And I'll add a keyframe by clicking the stopwatch icon. And then I'll move forward one frame by hitting the page down button, and then use the offset control again to reposition it to where it should be, which if we toggle between the previous frames using the page up and page down buttons, we can see it should be about here. And once you edit that position, it automatically puts in another keyframe here. And that's how we use motion tracking on a lens flare. I'll see you in the next tutorial.